Hello, welcome to Maker's Mic, a music makers podcast presented by LR Baggs. Our guest this episode is Sam Outlaw. I first met Sam during the 2015 Americana Festival in Nashville, Tennessee, when he and his two bandmates, Molly Jensen and Danny Green, breezed into our downtown loft to play a few songs for us. Fresh off the release of his breakout album Angelino, produced by Ry Cooder, Sam and his band performed Ghost Town and Love Her for a While. And just as soon as we wrapped up filming, they were heading out the door for their next gig. So I didn't really get the opportunity to spend a lot of time with him that day, but that wasn't the case this time around. Sam's out on the road again in support of his wonderful new album Tenderheart, and this time he's bringing a full band. And just a couple of days before Tenderheart's release date, Sam and his 6 band members were kind enough to stop by my house and literally squeeze into my living room to perform a couple of songs from his new album. After we wrapped up filming, Sam and I sat down on my front porch with a little whiskey. The sun was setting, the birds were singing, and the neighborhood kids were playing.
That was so easy and chill. That was great,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it was no
Set
problem.
Up, everyone knows what they're doing. You guys are ready to go. Play music.
Tell me, I don't even think I caught the name of the songs that you did just now.
So just now we did 2 cuts from the new album. The one song that's kind of the more country honky-tonker is called All My Life. And it's just kind of like this fun, optimistic sing-along. And I've been playing it live for like years, but never got like a proper cut of it, never released it. So it's nice to have that on the new record. And then the second one is called Say It To Me. And I don't really know what it's about exactly.
Okay.
I've seen some people have come up like with their opinions on what the song's about now, and I always love that because I don't even know if I totally know what it means.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to have a
no
meaning behind every song.
Or you can kind of know what it means, or you can know what it means for that week, and then it can change.
Yeah. I would imagine sometimes it's nice to leave songs open to
absolutely
listeners' interpretations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to leave it at least a little open. If you're just full on explaining everything, word for word, it's not much fun for the listener, probably.
I was sort of hoping to hear Bougainvillea, I think.
Oh, man.
I love that song.
Yeah, I love it too. And no, we're here at your kind of Spanish-style house, but in LA and Southern California, obviously the Bougainvillea it's a very prominent vine and flower. That song kind of popped in my head one day. It's kind of like the James Taylor vibe thing on the new album. When
I heard it instantly took me to this back patio in Los Angeles of this Airbnb that we had rented.
No way.
I'm pretty sure there was Bougainvillea
almost for sure
growing on the wall.
Yes, that's my favorite. So that's a song.
It's a sweet song.
Thanks,
too.
Man. Yeah, it's definitely probably maybe the sweetest song on the record. But I don't know when we'll definitely put that in the live show for the new tour. I'm not sure if it'll be right away. It might take me a couple shows to feel like adding that one in. Yeah. Because I feel pretty like on display on that one. Like here's me picking, here's me singing. Because on the record we've got some other stuff going on, but we tried it out live, and the kind of the way it feels live best is just like me and a guitar. So might take me a couple shows to feel confident.
What's your are you taking this full band on tour?
Yes. So, well,
how'd you pull that off?
I know. How'd I hypnotize them and convince them? So Lydia, the fiddle player, she's the only one where like she's only going to be on like some of the shows, like maybe a third of the shows. But yeah, man, I mean, they're a great group. They're all from LA except for Mark Sloan, who's doing the steel and keys double duty thing. Because my steel player back home, who also plays keys and guitar, he's got like a 5-year-old kid, and tours that last this long just aren't quite in his purview. But yeah, it's a really great band, and I think for me, as much as I enjoy doing the acoustic show thing or the acoustic tour thing, I knew that for the new record, I just felt like it would make sense to bring out the full group, because everybody kind of gets along too, which is so rare. Yeah, people that get along and are good, and also who like want to be out playing music. Like I get pretty cranky pretty fast, and I kind of like I forget that it's the coolest thing ever to get to play music for a living. So it's good to surround myself with other people who like stay optimistic and stay pumped.
Help lift you up.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I was not expecting a full-on band assault today.
I know.
Because last time it was you and Molly
Me and Danny,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love having Danny too. Danny's actually been kind of focusing on his own project he calls Reverend Baron.
Okay.
So I saw him the other day in Los Angeles, but he's been at home tracking, and he's just the best.
Yeah.
But he also came out with me in the full like European tour in the fall. It was him and this Nashville gal Molly Pardon. Have you guys ever heard Molly?
Yeah,
She's awesome.
Yeah, we did a video session with Molly.
She's so stinking good.
Yeah, she's great.
So Danny and Molly were my band for the European tour in the fall, and that was awesome.
Yeah, I remember seeing on her Instagram that she was.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were out there, man, just dragging our butts through all of Europe for like a month. It was crazy.
That's cool. So let's talk about Cal Poly. Have you ever met Weird Al?
No, I know he is a famous alumnus of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Who are the other like kind of more famous?
I actually looked some of them up.
Great.
A bunch of astronauts and engineers.
Ah, right.
Yeah, so of course.
Smart people who've actually done things.
Yeah, right. John Madden.
Really?
Ozzie Smith from the Cardinals. He was a baseball player.
Oh, yeah, I remember Ozzie Smith.
Yeah, he did the backflips all the time.
Dude, yeah, I had his baseball cards growing up. Totally
and
remember.
M. Ward.
M. Ward?
Yeah.
No.
I know, that one surprised me.
I didn't know that.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've not heard M. Ward in a while, but I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
His records were awesome.
Yeah.
And those She and Him records he did with Zoe Deschanel.
With Zoe. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, man, I loved Cal Poly.
That surprised me.
I mean, it's like for anyone who's been to the Central Coast, you quickly realize that it kind of is just this little slice of paradise.
Yeah.
I mean, Southern California is too, but Central California has this kind of just specialness to it.
It's more of a hidden gem.
It is. Kind of glistens. Uh-huh. And I think when I was going to school there, because I did 4 years there, graduated there. I think when it was time to wrap things up at college, I was like, I better get out of here. Otherwise, I don't know that I'll ever be able to be ambitious if I stay here, because it's too comfortable and beautiful, and I would just I'd be too happy.
I feel like people, like anything north of Santa Barbara and south of Big Sur is just kind of
sweet spot.
But it's also kind of forgotten about with the.
Well, first of all, because only so many people can afford to live there, unless you're like pitching a tent somewhere in somebody's backyard, like basically homeless. I mean that part of the country it really is special. But yeah, don't get me wrong.
Do you get back there very often?
Because I went to school there, I've got some really good friends in Bakersfield, and like her grandpa has like a beach house in Avila.
Yeah.
So, we'll make it out there and do a couple nights, hang. It's still a very important place to me because I went to school there, so I like to revisit it often. And then it is a tour stop as well. There's this awesome promoter, Good Medicine. Do you know those dudes in Central Coast?
I don't think so.
So this guy Todd and his wife have a promotion company called Good Medicine, and they put up. At least for us, they've essentially put up like. Here's a spider right here. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, and there's a bee.
Yeah, we're getting attacked by insects.
Yeah.
Oh, now the spider's on me. Got him.
Couldn't move this operation.
No, it's good. I think we should capture the nature.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a full blown like wasp nest. No, that's just like a bumblebee.
They're pretty tame. I walk right by them all the time.
Yeah, they're not going to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Todd and his wife have Good Medicine, and they pretty much put up like really cool like pop-up shows.
Okay.
So we go play San Luis Obispo, and we don't really end up playing even like proper like venues.
Uh-huh.
We'll play at like a really cool winery or different spots.
Yeah.
So it's a regular tour spot, and for me it's like there's nothing better than rolling into San Luis Obispo. Or like usually Pismo Beach.
Yeah, that's Central Coast fog.
Yeah. And you get in, and there's like, hey, we've got a whole bunch of incredible wine and food, and here's where you're playing, and everything. It's just like everything's great. Everything's a little too great.
Yeah. I do want to talk about Tenderheart, but can we jump back to Angelino and
of course.
Specifically? And I know you probably covered this in the past, but tell us how you connected with Ry Cooder.
With Ry Cooder, yeah. It's a pretty simple story, actually. I had met his son, Joaquin. I was doing, before I quit my job to do music full time, I got a chance to open for this kind of folk singer dude named Matt Costa. Have you heard of Matt Costa? Mm-mm. His stuff's really great. He was on Universal for a while, but really incredible singer-songwriter, and I kind of like begged him to take me out on the road because I wanted to try out touring, Yeah. So I did this little West Coast run with Matt. I was like first of three, and the middle band was this awesome singer-songwriter named Carly Ritter. And she had just made a record that was produced by Ry Cooder. And so, like, Joaquin was her drummer and was, you know, her kind of backing band. So I got to know Joaquin. Next year was when I was like, I need to get serious about making a record. So I started trying to figure out if maybe I could produce the record myself and just hire musicians or something.
Yeah.
So I hired Joaquin to play drums.
Yeah.
So he came over to my place in LA. And it was like him on drums with more or less kind of my regular road band. And we started like playing through the tunes. And I of course recorded these horrible sounding rehearsals, you know, on my iPhone. And like, so we did a couple rehearsals, but you know, nothing that extravagant. And a few days later, he was kind of like, you know, are you still looking for a producer? I was like, yeah. Do you have any ideas? He's like, well, I think I'd like to send these demos over to Ry. And I was just like, why? Why would we send my 3-minute pop songs to Ry Cooder? But I was like, yeah, man, obviously, like, I'm not going to get my hopes up, but sure. And then, yeah, like, I mean, like, not even a week later, he's like, dude, Ry's into it. You know, he wants to get together and have breakfast. So we went and had a little breakfast at Highland Cafe in Highland Park and talked about country music, talked about California country, and talked about a record. And he said he wanted to make a record with me. And I was like, yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. I say yes.
How can you not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then before we got in the studio, so like when I got home from breakfast, I feel like he'd like already emailed me. I was like, hey man, I see you've got a show coming up. Like, could I sit in with the band and play some guitar and get used to the tunes? I was like, yes. Yeah, we'll find some space. So we got to do a few shows together. Actually, we did like a couple in LA and Orange County. We got to do one out in Nashville even for Americana Fest in like 2014. So I'd played a few shows with him kind of like in the band before we got to the studio. So we were, you know, more comfortable with each other, and it was really chill when we got to the studio. We just kind of set up and played through the songs, and it didn't feel, you know,
rushed or hurried.
It just felt
forced.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So he's a big reason that
LR Baggs exists.
Yes.
Lloyd explained that to me in person.
Yeah.
So when we first started the tour for Angelino in 2015, it was literally like the first or second day on the road, you know, because obviously it's close to LA. We popped by LR Baggs, you know, headquarters there to probably, I think I had to get some gear, maybe get my guitar set up. Yeah. And Lloyd came out and said hi, and he kind of explained to me the whole story. Yeah. So it was really cool because I had no idea about that, you know. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of a pretty cool connection. Yeah. And I was obviously fascinated that was the case. Yeah.
And we're very grateful for Ry Cooder. Yeah. About Tenderheart, this record feels like such a great blend of genres. Yeah. It's got some classic country, but predominantly, I think maybe not predominantly, but equal parts like soft rock.
Totally.
Kind of. And I've read in other interviews where you get comparisons to like the Eagles or Jackson Browne.
Yes.
But I'm curious, do you jump into an album with a bunch of songs and kind of whittle it down? Like, oh, it's starting to maybe lean a little bit more towards this way.
Right.
Or, you know, do you just sort of have it all figured out from the beginning? Like, these are the 10 songs that are going to be on the album.
You know, in this case, I mean, I've only really made 2 records, so I don't have a ton of experience here, but honestly, like, there's not so far been like a kind of a master plan going in, even like aesthetically. Like, I don't really go in saying I'm going to make a soft rock country record, I'm going to make a hardcore honky tonk record. I think with both Angelino and Tenderheart, you know, I was producing Tenderheart, so I feel like there was even more of a, I don't know, kind of like a let's take this a song at a time approach. Yeah. So I think with Tenderheart, one song got left on the cutting room floor, and I think the same with Angelino too. Or no, technically maybe 2, where we kind of started, and we were just kind of like maybe not so interested. And we're like, we'll get to them later, kind of thing. So no, I mean, I think so. Tenderheart's 13 tracks. The only stuff that left was we did a completely different style of one of the songs, and I decided to include one of the styles for the record, and obviously not both of them. Yeah. And then there's one song that I finished, and ultimately I just didn't feel 100% about it, so I was like, I'll get to this one on the next record. But I mean, as far as stylistically, I do love soft rock. Yeah. And as much as I love like hardcore country and classic country, you know, I think like anybody the kind of music you fall in love with, you kind of OD on it in those first few years.
Yeah.
But then naturally you start like branching out again. You start remembering the other stuff you like, and you start incorporating that into your kind of like, musical diet. So I really tried to like unashamedly make whatever the song is, that's what we're going to make. So if we're like, one of the songs to me is just like a full-blown, just kind of like John Mellencamp style rock song, and that's what we tried to do. We didn't try to make it something it wasn't.
Yeah.
So for the stuff that's country, we went country. For the stuff that's rock, we went rock. For the stuff that's soft rock, we let it be soft rock. We put, synths in there. We used an 808 on one of the tracks. We used a Prophet in the studio, one of those cool old keyboards.
Yeah.
We did mariachi still on one of the songs. So it's intentionally diverse as far as aesthetic.
Okay.
And I already was kind of like bracing myself for all the critics kind of doing the like, this isn't real country music kind of thing.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not claiming that I'm trying to make like purist country music. As much as I love country and I could probably talk to you about country music till your head falls off, I love other stuff. The number one rule is you have to be into your own stuff.
Yeah.
So if you in any way try to make a record that will like satisfy, like again, like Angelino, whereas it maybe didn't sell a million copies, it got critically accepted pretty well. And I'm sure a lot of that's because it was a Ry Cooder production. Like, who doesn't love Ry Cooder? And also I think it's a good record.
It's a great record.
So I think, if I would have let that kind of weigh too heavily on my mind, if I would have tried to make a record to like appease or whatever you want to call it, the fans of Angelino, then I think ultimately it's kind of like if you want to see the sun, you can't look directly at it kind of thing. Ultimately, you got to make the music that you're digging. And if people that already like you like the new stuff, then cool. And if they don't, that has to be cool too. Because you're doing what you have to do. And you're the one who has to get on stage and perform those songs.
Yeah,
and
so you better love it.
You better love it. Because if people look up on stage and they can see that you're not into your own stuff, they're not going to love it either. So you lose both things. You lose getting a chance to perform music you believe in, and you'll lose your audience. You gotta do what you know in your heart is what you want to do. And even if you trip up, that's okay. It's okay it's art. There's no really beginning or end to it. It's a never-ending thing that you'll never figure out anyway. So just get in there, do your best, and then keep going.
What would you say is your favorite part about being a musician? Do you like songwriting? Do you like being in the studio and recording, or do you like being out on the road and touring? Do you have a favorite, or is it...
I think it's like when you're in the studio and you first get in there, those first 3 days, you are just out of your mind excited. And then after if you're still in there after a couple weeks, you're like, all right, we got to wrap this up. I would say the same for all those other aspects. So like touring, like right now, I've been home for a few months for the first time in forever. So I am so pumped to start this tour. But if you check in with me on week 6, I'll be like,
ready to go.
It's time to get home and chill out. I love writing songs. That's something that never gets old. I think if I wrote 20 songs a day for 20 days in a row, I'd be happy. So I think the only thing I really consider myself with any sort of pride or something would be as a songwriter. I mean, I can sing enough to sing my songs, and I can play guitar enough to perform with my band, but I've never really tried to posture myself as a real singer or a real player. I'm a songwriter. So songwriting is definitely my number one love. But I love to play. And when you get in the studio and when you got great people backing you up, and you can just tell there's, especially when you go in and the song's not really done, and you're looking for you're chasing something, you don't know what it is, and then you find it, that's the happiest stuff, so it makes you feel like a kid again.
I would imagine, I mean, touring with a wife at home is hard enough, right? But having a baby. Now
I got a baby, and he's the cutest baby in the world.
Dude, how do you get it?
I don't know. I still don't, we're kind of figuring it out as we go. Because, so when he was born, I was home for the first month. And then I went to, Europe for a month, came back, and still did pretty consistent touring throughout the rest of the year. So on this next tour, what we're going to do is we're going to fly out my wife and baby basically 3 times throughout the tour. So I'm going to see him pretty much every couple weeks. but it's still so hard.
Yeah, I would imagine. I'm not trying to bring it down.
No,
you
dude,
know,
it's
but
it's it
as
doesn't.
a dad
you
myself, like
yeah, you can't. Nothing you could say would make it harder than it. I mean, I'm not in denial about how hard it is.
Yeah.
But it also is the thing of like, let's say I worked a 9 to 5. I'd probably see the kid an hour or two
you
a
add
day.
up all those hours, right?
Yeah, the
sure.
truth is, like, it all kind of probably ends up the same. If
Yeah.
not, maybe I even get to see him more. And the beauty of, this is like, he'll get to come with me and stuff. Like, I just did a little press tour in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to bring my wife and baby, and I got to sightsee around London. And my wife's never been to England, and he obviously hadn't been.
Right.
So it's kind of cool. Like, we're going to get to have some cool experiences together that we wouldn't have had, if it was a different situation.
Yeah, it's got to feel really good, too, to feel like you're, putting something out there in the world that when the time comes for him
Right.
to be ready to listen to your music and to absorb it for what it is, that's got to be really special. Like, as a you were in advertising or something?
Yeah, I was in really digital ad sales for like 10 years. Yeah.
I'm sure there's rewarding parts of that business, but
sure, yeah, you can do a good job.
But I feel like as a musician, I don't know, like just making an album and having your son potentially, grow up and listen to your music and love that and maybe even follow in your footsteps, all that stuff seems...
Yeah, like the legacy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting, too, because using my mom's maiden name as, like, my stage name...
Totally,
he'll grow up as Leo Morgan, which I think is kind of cool, because if he decides to do music, I mean, unless I, at some point, decide to start playing under, my regular last name, which I might... people ask me, I'm like, I don't know, I could start doing it tomorrow. Yeah. But, so if he decides to kind of, like... I mean, for lack of a better expression, follow my footsteps and do music, be a songwriter, he could use his own name and essentially be completely unattached to my career if he wanted to be. Or he could be more if he wants to be. But, I think for yourself, I'm not going to put any expectations on my kid, right? Like, if he wants to be a 9 to 5er doing whatever, then God bless him. Just be a good man and do your best at whatever you're doing. Yeah. And if you want to do something artistic, then again, same policy. Yeah. Be a good man, do the best at what you're doing. But don't get me wrong, I'd rather be able to tell like my grandkids one day that I played music and I was a songwriter than that I sold banner ads. Yeah. So I'm definitely
feeling pretty good about the path you're on.
I'm feeling like it is a more honest, for me, it's a more honest approach than what I was doing before. Yeah. Not because the job was bad or the industry was even bad.
Sure.
But I knew I was a songwriter, and I kind of just I kept it at arm's length for a long time. Mm-hmm. So finally I kind of embraced it,
Yeah. Do you write songs now that are about your son, or
I haven't quite got to that point. I've got one kind of in the works that's kind of a happy tune about wife and baby kind of stuff. But it's like I hear about records like this is the sobriety record and this is the the kid. I don't know that that's my style so much, in part because I'm just not that disciplined a songwriter, probably. Like I don't know if someone was like, you have to make a concept record, I'd probably just fall apart. Sometimes the concept and theme of a record presents itself again once you get started, but it's sneaking in there. But I take quite a bit of time to digest my experiences before it trickles into the songs.
I think that's good.
So I'm not putting any pressure on myself to write the fatherhood song. Or I was
just curious.
But there are people like the people who are like, Trump gets elected and a week later they've got a Trump song.
Oh, right.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Cool. I can't do that. I don't even know if I want to do that. Yeah. But, for the people that's their thing, again, they're probably just more a disciplined songwriter than me. I still kind of rely on the very dubious bolt of lightning technique and hope that the songs just pop in. And
well, I mean, maybe those people are just always looking for some sort of inspiration
material,
whereas maybe you just let it sort of happen organically.
I think so. And I do I definitely notice stories or notice things around me and go, that's kind of a cool song. Or oftentimes more like just concepts will pop in my head. Like I knew Bougainvillea, I think I knew I wanted a song called Bougainvillea, I think. And then one morning I woke up, was lying next to my wife in bed, and the full song popped in my head, and I went downstairs and I tracked it. So sometimes maybe it's like a meet in the middle thing.
Yeah.
You throw out into the spirit, world, the universe somehow, that you're going for this thing, and then it eventually gets back to you or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I really don't know.
The video, for everyone that's looking for a home, you realize that no matter what happens in your career, you're probably never going to make another video as good as that one.
Yeah,
right?
it's a sweet thing, yeah.
How do you not cry every time?
I know, man. I do.
You watch that video.
And I had the idea for that because I was like, I remember I was on my run in Glendale near my home, and I had this kind of vision. I was like, the teaser video for the album should be a full music video. That's the entire first track of the record.
Yeah.
And I kind of envisioned how it would be.
That's a great idea.
And then we somehow pulled it off. But my concern was, again, when you're dealing with stuff about babies and family, if you're not careful, it can read as like emotionally manipulative, or it could come off as like, oh, like, are you trying to get us to cry? That kind of thing. So I really wanted to be careful that that wasn't the case. And really, I found out while we were making it, all we had to do was just tell the truth. We literally shot me on tour for a couple days. Mm-hmm. And then we literally shot some home video stuff at home, me and my wife, my baby.
Yeah.
So there was no acting.
Right.
It was just the real thing, and then we, cut it together.
Yeah.
So I'm so thankful for how that turned out. My friend Max Cutrone and this dude Jordan Lovelace made that video together. And I'm glad I had the idea, but still, when you have an idea, I don't know anything about making videos, So still, when you have the idea, you still need the people to execute it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I first saw the first cut,
it's so good.
I was at home. I think I just got home from something, and I saw the email. Hey, here's the first cut, and I definitely started crying in my living room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and you're a dad, so you even more so.
Yeah.
But I think even people who don't have kids, like they get the point, which is like, this is absurd what we're doing here.
Right.
Like, what are we doing? Like, because there's nothing that changed your life more than family, or having, starting your own family.
Yeah.
And then
absolutely.
How do we reconcile that with the lifestyle? It's crazy.
Your most recent press photos, I guess, for Tenderheart, the one, I think it's like a pink backdrop.
Yes.
And you've got this green jacket.
Yeah. I call it the watermelon cowboy.
Can I have that jacket?
So you can. There's a great custom clothing apparel company, whatever, in LA called Brambles, and they sell that jacket. I think it's called
cool.
the Sage Cowboy jacket or something. But yeah, they hooked me up with some clothes. I actually had to get that jacket resized because I loved it so much. I was like, dude, it's perfect. It's a little off the side. So I think I got it basically custom made, and it's a very cool. It kind of reminds me of like some of those Ricky Nelson, Dean Martin cowboy western videos, in the 50s, where they would wear that kind of stuff, with the little kind of the fuzz and the But
I actually kind of have a banana colored one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that jacket. So Brambles makes that jacket. Yeah.
Maybe if our podcast really takes off and we give them a shout out, maybe they'll send me some free stuff.
And they have such cool stuff, man. It really, I'm not even as a plug. Go to their website and check it. They have some really cool stuff because they've also got that jacket in I want to say one, maybe two other colors too. Yeah. But yeah, it's
cool.
Really cool.
Give me a couple of your Deserted Island albums.
Oh.
I'm not asking you what's your favorite album, but right now, if you got stuck on an island, what albums would you want to have?
Am I stuck alone? Am I stuck by myself?
You're by yourself.
Oh, okay. So if you're
just
stuck by yourself,
and a Walkman.
Okay.
And some tapes.
I mean, I think George Jones is one of my favorite country singers, and he has so many good records. A Picture of Me Without You, I think, is one of my favorites. And that'd be a good one for being lonely on an island.
Yeah. When you're in a mood, when you're feeling sad,
I want to listen to sad music.
You want to listen to sad music.
You want to drink some whiskey, feel sorry for yourself.
I don't know. Some people like to, try to
cheer up. Oh, I've never been a cheer up.
No, I'm not that way either. I'd love to I want to go down the rabbit hole.
Go down. Yeah. And then the ups are more meaningful.
Yeah.
Now these days, depending on how much I have to function, if I can't go down the rabbit hole, I'll pop a Xanax, drink some wine, and go to bed.
Yeah.
But, if I can afford a little indulgent depression, then you got to feel still.
Yeah.
You got to let yourself feel. So I think A Picture of Me Without You is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'm a big fan of like 90s Britpop. And I think one of the coolest records ever is The Bends by Radiohead.
Yeah.
So that's always a favorite. And that's pretty damn miserable. Those lyrics are pretty miserable, so that could be a good one for being alone on an island. If I wanted to have an optimistic day, though, and maybe let loose a little bit, I'm still obsessed with that 2012 Kendrick Lamar record, Good Kid, Mad City. So I don't know if you've heard that, but that's pretty special. What else? I mean, like any Linda Ronstadt record, I'd be okay with.
Yeah.
Even like her like Spanish language records. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've always been a huge fan of those. Yeah, I don't know how many of these you need, but
that's good. That's good. What was the first album that you remember falling in love with?
Well, one of the first bands I remember flipping for, like most people, was the Beatles. And I remember having Help, that record.
How were you introduced to that?
I don't know. I mean, I grew up in a conservative Christian family where I wasn't really allowed to listen to like kind of like mainstream rock radio, but I was allowed to listen to oldies, and my dad was a huge Beatles fan, so I somehow got a hold of Help.
Okay.
And I think the song, like I loved all the songs, but I think the one that really, really, still to this day blows my mind is I've just seen a face I can't forget, the time or place when we just met. And that was why I was like, oh my God, songs, songwriting. So that one for me, it will forever just be like that's, and it's not even these days. I know right now it's even my favorite Beatles record.
Right.
Because that's a hard thing to even pick right there. Yeah. But that record still is a milestone in me being like, your brain kind of lighting up for music.
Since we talked about your music video, I wanted to ask you about, because I was thinking about the first music video I remember seeing on MTV, and I was wondering what yours was.
Oof. So I technically wasn't like not allowed to watch MTV, so I'd have to sneak it. I mean, it's probably something horrible. And now it's like I have these memories of music videos. I'm like, I don't know if I remember this video because I saw it when it was out, or if I've just since then seen like a video from the 90s. I wonder if I could okay, so I'll just pick a video.
We can pass too.
No, this is a great question. There's a couple of videos that always will stand out to me, and I'm sure it's almost all, like in every case, like adolescent sex related. So like when you're 14 and you're discovering like sexuality. So like I remember like the was it Mariah Carey like Heartbreaker video maybe, or like anything from that record. I remember that being on MTV all the time and me just losing my mind over Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
I remember like what was one of my favorite videos? Jennifer Lopez, it's like something to do with like waterfalls. Do you remember this video?
I remember.
Just remember her being outside in like some kind of rainforest. Well, yeah, TLC had Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls, but this video I feel like had water involved.
J-Lo?
And these are not hip at all.
Where she was in the jungle or something?
Yeah, like maybe a jungle thing.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
I mean, and again, like I remember like some cooler ones from earlier, but I don't know if I remember them from when they were actually out, or again, if this, but I'll never forget, for some reason, the, Losing My Religion video from R.E.M.
Yeah.
That was so vibey and cool.
Yeah, and it was on all the time.
It probably was. I still think about some of the videos, because I was a huge Oasis fan. But I don't feel like they were on MTV that much, so I'd have to like seek them out, like in early days of the internet.
I mean, I guess Wonderwall was...
Yeah. But I mean, like even like other stuff from Definitely Maybe. Yeah. I remember the music video. I mean, this is another What's the Story album record, but Champagne Supernova always stands out to me.
Oh yeah.
And then of course I'll never forget that the Blur with the milk carton, Coffee and TV. But yeah, I mean, most of my early music video memories are like just pop nonsense, from the mid '90s. But I actually still like that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I still like. When I'm drunk at a pool party, I'll throw on Sugar Ray. I think those records sound great, and I think they're good songs.
I don't know.
So, I love that stuff.
I spiked my hair at one point and
of course. You went
my
full
tips.
Mark McGrath on that?
I did.
Why not? Yeah, it was the thing to do.
I could barely grow a goatee at the time.
You got one out, I have nothing but fond memories of that stuff, and I don't even like, I'm not saying I like it in some kind of hip, ironic way. Like, I literally like it.
Right.
I think there's nothing wrong with just kind of bubblegum pop music.
No, not at all.
I wish more people today would like have hooks in their songs,
Yeah. Is there a TV show or a movie that you've been thinking about lately?
Yes. Well, there's a lot of TV shows.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be like the last one you've watched,
Right.
or just what's been on your mind.
Ooh, what's going on? Well, I started watching a show called Big Little Lies on HBO.
Yeah.
And when I first started, I was like, oh, this is just rich white people nonsense. Like,
Yeah, because I watched the first episode.
Yeah, so I'm the same. Like, I got through episode 1, and I was like, okay, so it's going to be rich white people just kind of being rich white people.
Yeah.
Like, this is... And then episode 2, partway, like, it was almost the same thing. And then it kind of starts getting good, and the story starts digging in. Some of the characters, like, kind of messed up lives start becoming a little more flourished, a little more... So that one, like, and I finished that one recently. I really dug it a lot.
It's over now, right?
It's over, yeah.
Uh-huh. Like as of last week or something?
Yes, like a week ago or something. I just got through the first episode of, I believe it's called The Night Of.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
It is The Night Of, right?
Yeah. I watched the first episode.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet because I love crime stuff.
Yeah.
So that one is pretty cool. But I mean, probably the two that I've been thinking about the most would be the O.J. Simpson doc, People vs. O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
And then the O.J. Simpson movie, or like the
mini-series or whatever. Yeah.
Those were
so
insane.
Both so good. Yeah.
Even the movie, I was like, how did they make the movie so good?
I don't know. Did you maybe you didn't live in California at the time.
No, I did. So I knew. I was in LA in 94, 95, or 96 when this was unfolding.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being in like 7th grade. I feel like my teacher rolled out the TV, the TVs on the carts.
Yeah.
Rolled out the TV so we could watch the Bronco chase.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that. But there was so much about that story that I didn't know. And both the doc and the movie were just entertaining as can be.
Yeah,
I mean, my God.
They were so good.
And it's connected to, like, I was obsessed with Making of a Murderer. I mean, that was probably, I think the first time I ever actually, because people were like, oh, I binge watched, like, I think I actually binge watched that. Like, I think I watched 2 episodes late at night, and then the next day I watched the next 8 episodes. Yeah. So I just love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like when Serial, the first season when the pilot was out, like me and my wife, like, listened to the whole thing on like a long drive or something. Yeah. Anything true crime to me is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, true crime is the best.
Movies, I don't know. What's it? I finally got to see Manchester by the Sea.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was awesome. Yeah. Even though there's some plot points that are like absurdly sad. Yeah. It was so good. I thought that was fantastic.
I do want to see it. That's one of those like... Whenever,
it's like when do I want to be so sad?
God,
you have
can we
to time
put ourselves through this? Because I know.
Honestly, though, man, like the way it's plays out, it's not like it's not like it doesn't end and you don't feel like you just, got beat up. Yeah. It definitely. It is like as advertised sad, but it's pretty excellent. Yeah. I made the mistake of going and seeing Kong in the theaters the other day because I love big blockbusters, big events. And I was very jet lagged. We just got back from England, so I was like kind of falling asleep in the opening credits. But that one didn't really do it for me. Yeah. I don't know. Kong. I don't know if I'll go see that. I should have seen Logan instead.
We went to see Logan.
Was that good?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I really want to see Logan. I even saw the new, the latest X-Men Apocalypse, which didn't get very good reviews. Yeah. But I watched it on a plane. I thought it was pretty awesome.
I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, those are. I also love like who's the dude that the young Xavier.
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. He's so good. But like, did you see the new Split?
No, man.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I want to see it.
That guy. I mean, when you watch that, you're like, oh, he's the greatest actor of all time. Yeah. So yeah, I think those X-Men movies are good, but I like the hip indie stuff, and I like the lame blockbuster stuff too. Yeah. If it's good, it's good. Yeah. I'm glad you like true murder. Oh, yeah. Stories. Dude, do you ever watch Investigation Discovery? Do you know that channel? Yes, I do. I do. Yeah, and they have shows like Fear Thy Neighbor and like I Killed My Wife. And it's like they have specific shows it's
for
just setting you up to walk around paranoid and scared all the time. Exactly. Yeah.
Man, Sam, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate your time.
Man, my pleasure.
Well, we wish you all the best.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right, folks, that just about wraps it up for episode 1 of Maker's Mic. If you like what you hear, please make sure to subscribe, like us, And most importantly, help us spread the word by sharing with your friends and family. We'd like to thank our guest, Sam Outlaw. Sam will be touring the US of A into mid-June, and then he'll be skipping across the pond for a European tour throughout July. Of course, you can find out more about Sam by visiting samoutlaw.com. And make sure to visit lrbaggs.com and the LR Baggs YouTube channel to check out Sam Outlaw's LR Baggs Handcrafted video session. Thanks for listening.